Have you ever noticed that the more you open up to family, the more tangled everything becomes? We start with a heart full of honesty, craving closeness, yet somehow, the more we share, the less peace we find. It is a bittersweet irony many of us learn after 70. Love is complicated. It arrives bundled with expectations, opinions, and heavy emotions. My name is Margaret Anne Sterling, and at 103 years old, I've realized that complete transparency doesn't always keep a family close. Not every truth needs to be spoken. This isn't about being secretive or shameful. It is about being wise. At this stage of life, your peace is a sacred treasure worth protecting. Today, I want to share why silence is often the ultimate act of dignity and self-preservation. The first secret I want to share is a significant one: your exact financial situation. Many of us believe that total transparency is the only way to avoid future confusion or conflict. We imagine that by opening our bank accounts and pension plans to our children, we are offering them peace of mind. However, I have learned that the moment you pull back that financial curtain, the family dynamic shifts, sometimes subtly, but often permanently. I remember a dear friend, a woman of 79, who had budgeted carefully her entire life. She sat her children down to share everything, expecting relief and gratitude. Instead, she was met with a barrage of helpful questions. "Mom, why are you still in such a large house? Shouldn't you sell it before something happens?" Suddenly, her independent choices became open to public debate. Every purchase, from a new armchair to a simple pair of shoes, was met with commentary. Though said with love, it felt like judgment. She felt boxed in, as if she were no longer the master of her own life. Once the numbers are out, even well-meaning relatives can start managing you like a project rather than a person. Worse yet, it can attract distant relatives who suddenly take an interest in your wallet rather than your well-being. Keeping your finances private isn't about being secretive. It's about maintaining your dignity and the freedom to live on your own terms. Privacy is not the same as secrecy. It is a shield. As I've learned in my 103 years, you do not owe anyone your bank statements or a detailed explanation of why you chose to donate to a cause or buy a new television. Your resources are the result of decades of hard work and sacrifices that no one else truly understands. Therefore, the person most qualified to decide what to do with those fruits is you. My advice is simple: be prepared, but be quiet. Ensure you have a legally sound will and a power of attorney, someone you trust implicitly to handle your affairs when the time truly comes. But sharing the full financial picture prematurely creates a pressure you never asked for. Suddenly, your independence is treated as a collective family discussion. By keeping these details close to your vest, you protect your peace from the noise of unsolicited opinions. Share only what is absolutely necessary at the right time, and only with those who have proven they respect your boundaries. True dignity in these golden years comes from the freedom to live without having to defend your choices to those you love. As we age, our bodies naturally begin to hum a different tune. Knees creak a bit louder, and sleep isn't always as restful as it once was. It feels natural to share these small complaints with our family. After all, we think they care and would want to know. Often, they do, but what we rarely consider is how that information is processed on the other side. To us, mentioning a stiff back or a dizzy spell is just small talk. To our children, however, those words carry an immense emotional weight. Because they love us, they often overreact, not out of malice, but out of fear. What you see as a passing discomfort, they hear as a red flag. From that moment on, they may start seeing you through a different lens, not as the strong, capable parent you are, but as someone fragile who needs to be managed. I've seen independent seniors, lovers of gardening and long walks, suddenly find themselves handled. Their children start booking appointments they didn't ask for, or suggesting they shouldn't drive at night or live alone. This shift, once it begins, is incredibly hard to reverse. Unless it is a serious diagnosis requiring real support, keep the minor twinges to yourself. Trust your own knowledge of your body. Sharing every ache can unintentionally create a narrative of decline that doesn't reflect your true spirit, leading to a loss of freedom you aren't ready to give up. There is a profound difference between being honest and broadcasting every physical struggle. When we constantly talk about our health issues, our world begins to shrink. Everything becomes about what is wrong, what hurts, or what is wearing down. That is not the story you want to tell at 103, and it certainly isn't how you want your family to remember you. You are a full person with wisdom, joy, and quiet victories every day. If you allow minor discomforts to dominate your conversations, they will eventually dominate your identity. I am not suggesting you suffer in silence or ignore your well-being. By all means, talk to your doctor, keep track of your symptoms, and take care of yourself with intention. But when it comes to family, be thoughtful. Ask yourself, am I sharing this to feel closer, or am I unintentionally giving away my independence? Peace in our later years doesn't come from having everyone worry about us. It comes from knowing ourselves well enough to decide what truly matters and when it is time to speak. Choosing when to remain silent about the small things is not denial. It is dignity. It allows you to remain the anchor of the family rather than the burden they feel they must carry. You've lived in your body long enough to know the difference between aging and an emergency. Trust that wisdom. At this stage of life, we've seen it all. Siblings bickering over old grudges, in-laws misunderstanding one another, and children struggling with their own lives. As the elders, we feel a powerful tug to step in, to offer a piece of our hard-earned advice, or to smooth things over. But experience has taught me a hard lesson. Silence in family drama isn't weakness. It is the ultimate wisdom. No matter how gently you speak, your words are filtered through the emotional baggage of the listener. What you intend as support is often heard as judgment, criticism, or taking sides. I've known friends who lost years of closeness with their grandchildren over a single soft suggestion about parenting. Once you speak up, you become part of the conflict rather than the resolution. People remember the interference long after they've forgotten the original argument. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You can love your family deeply without inserting yourself into every disagreement. The most powerful words you can offer are often, "I trust you to work it out," or simply staying present as a calm, steady influence. By stepping back, you allow them the space to grow and learn from their own mistakes, just as you once did. Protecting your emotional well-being means being the eye of the storm, the one person who remains unshakable while the waves crash around you. We all carry what-ifs, opportunities not taken, places not visited, or words left unsaid. It's part of being human. Sometimes these memories surface during a quiet coffee with a grandchild or a walk with a daughter. However, I believe that not every regret needs to be spoken aloud. What feels like honest reflection to us can feel like a heavy rejection to those who love us. If you sigh and say, "I wish I had traveled more when I was young," a child might hear, "My life with you wasn't enough to make me happy." Our loved ones often feel responsible for our happiness, and sharing our regrets can unintentionally burden them with a guilt they don't deserve. Furthermore, the more we dwell on the past in conversation, the more others see us as stuck. They may begin to treat you as if your best days are behind you, rather than seeing the vibrant person you are today. Your feelings are valid, and your regrets are real, but some reflections are better kept close to the heart because they are sacred. Instead of framing your life through the lens of sorrow, frame it through growth. Instead of, "I wish I'd done things differently," try, "I have learned so much from the life I have lived." This honors your journey without casting a shadow over the lives of those you raised. Making peace with the past is a private, graceful act that ensures your present remains full of light. The final secret involves your assets. While legal planning is essential, sharing specific details of who gets what too early often breeds entitlement or resentment. I've seen families fractured by transparency that turned into quiet competition. Your legacy is more than a dollar amount. It is the life you've led and the love you've given. At 103, I've learned that peace isn't found by sharing everything, but by knowing what to protect. Guard your heart and your dignity. You've earned the right to live these years on your own terms, surrounded by quiet mornings and a calm, steady soul.